Hello everyone. Thank you for stopping by my YouTube channel today, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. If you happened to watch my unboxing video yesterday, you might have been intrigued when I mentioned something called Abundant Beauty Decorative Masks. Some people might have said, what in the world is that? I've never seen anything like that before when they're numbered. Let me show you the set. They are on page 47 of the new mini, we call it the holiday catalog. It's a set of 7. They are kind of like the black masks that we currently have. I think these might be a little bit heavier. There's leaves, snowflakes, houndstooth, and then there's these 4 interesting little pieces of sunflowers, and they have a little notch in the top, and they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to show you what I did with these today and how I use them. I'm also using the So Sincere stamp set. It was also mentioned in the unboxing video yesterday. I am going to use the So Thankful for You sentiment. This is a Million Sales Achiever stamp set by Sandy Hancock. It's a beautiful set, so you should keep your eye out for that one. I'm also using the Distress Tile embossing folder. This is on page 75 of the catalog. It looks similar to some of the other tile folders that we've had, but there are distressed areas on it that make it look vintagey and old distressed. So let me set these aside and we'll get started. I guess I should show you the card that we're going to make. This is the card I made with the masks, so I'll show you how I did that. And there might be different ways to do this. I'm not sure, but I found that this works best for me. So I'm taking a piece of Stampin' Up! Grid paper. I usually call it graph paper. I don't know why. And then when I watch my videos back, I'm like, why do you call things other names than what they really are? So anyway, let me also show you the pieces that we're going to need for this card. I have a piece of basic white that's 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. A piece of crushed curry, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Another piece of basic white, 4 inches by 5 1/4, and this is the one that we're going to put the ink on. And then you just need a little scrap of basic white for the sentiment. So I'm going to take my piece that I'm going to put the ink on, which is the 4 by 5 1/4 piece. Pretend I don't have all these lines here already. I didn't want to take the time to do that on the video. So I laid my piece of basic white down on my grid paper, and it fits perfectly between the lines. And then I just took a ruler and a black pilot pen, and I found the closest line to the edge, lined my ruler up on the line, and I made a line with the black ink. And I did the same thing on the left side, the top side, and the bottom side. So now I've got a little template that my 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock fits in. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take some of this, it's not permanent tape, it's repositional. It's a dot glue runner. And I'm just going to put a couple little dabs of it down here in the space where my basic white piece goes. And I'm actually going to tap it with my finger a couple times so it's not too sticky. I don't want it to rip my paper when I go to pull it back up. So I'm going to lay my cardstock down in that little square rectangle. And then I'm going to take my #1 mask and pretend I don't have all these ink lines either. And I'm going to lay it on my cardstock and, you know, see where I want it to be centered. So when you get it where you want it, take your pen again and just draw a little couple of lines around each corner, so then you've got another template for this mask. Since I've got those on there, I'm just going to take some, I can't remember what this is called, the decorative tape. Good grief. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to put a piece of tape at the top of it and the bottom. You could put it on all 4 sides if you want, or you could just hold it with your hand. Hold the mask still with your hand, but I don't want to worry about it slipping, so I'm going to tape it down. Then I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper and let me show you the colors that I've used in this also. I have, and I will have a PDF of this linked in the description below the video. I have pumpkin pie, crushed curry, old olive, shaded spruce, pecan pie, copper clay, and pebbled path. Don't be afraid to grab some colors of ink that you don't really think go together. You might be surprised what you come out with. So let's grab our pumpkin pie first, or excuse me, our crushed curry. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to grab a blending brush. This one's not a Stampin' Up, but it doesn't matter. You can use whatever. I'm going to take a lot of the ink off. And since I want the outside to be a little lighter color than the inside, I'm just going to take this crushed curry and go around each of these sunflowers. And you can get it in the center if you want. I mean, I'm not trying to, but it's okay because I'm going to go over it with a darker color. And once you've gone over it with the next darker color, you can still come back and add more to the outside if you're not happy with what you got the first time. So I'm just going to keep adding ink. And on the smaller sunflowers, it's easier if you kind of use the end of the blending brush. And remember, this doesn't need to look perfect. It can be an artistic interpretation, so whatever you like, whatever you think, that's what goes. So now I'm going to bring in my pumpkin pie. That is an old ink pad, and I have a different brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that color and make a circle on more towards the center of the sunflower. And I'll keep doing that until I'm happy with the ink that has been laid down. So let's go to the next sunflower and do the same thing. And once you're finished with all the ink blending of the entire project, I'm going to say this now because I would probably forget to say it later. I'm actually going to splatter mine with some ink, but you could also spritz it with water to get that neat watercolor look if you want. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. Let's put the pumpkin pie away. And then we'll take this mask off. And then look at our beautiful flowers so far. So then we're going to grab mask number 2. Line it up. And you can get this pretty darn close, but with this set of masks, it doesn't need to be perfect. So now we're going to do the leaves. So I'm going to grab the brush I use with my green inks, and I am going to use Old Olive. And I'll just put some of that completely on the leaves. And even though I'm using a couple different colors for each piece of the sunflowers, you don't have to do that. You could just use one yellow, one orange, whatever, one green. I just like playing around with colors and seeing what goes together, and I think it gives it a little more depth and dimension when you do that. So now I've got my shaded spruce, and I'm going to primarily add it just toward the bottom of the leaf. And I know some of you are probably saying, okay, well, Old Olive and shaded spruce, that's a weird combination. This probably won't show up over here on this one because I got a lot of Old Olive on there. Okay, so there are our beautiful leaves. And see how this is holding still because it is attached to or adhered to my grid paper. So now let's grab mask number 3, washi tape. That's what it's called. I'm gonna grab some washi tape. I'm surprised it came to me during the video. Normally I don't remember things till it's too late. So a piece on the top, piece on the bottom. And you can just, when you're done, you can either, depending on if you're going to keep making more, you could have, like I have a little bowl with a wet paper towel in it. You could wipe the masks off as you go. If you're going to use the same colors, you don't even need to wipe them off. Or when you're totally finished, you can just rinse these under your tap water and then let them dry on their own, or dry them with the paper towel or kitchen towel or whatever. Okay, so we're done with the green. Now let's go to our browns, the center of the sunflower. So the first color I'm going to use is the lightest one, and it's pecan pie or pecan pie. So we'll pick some of that up, put it in the center of our flower, and I'm not going to make that too dark. I like some of the white kind of showing through, even though you won't really see it at the end because it is going to have darker colors over it. And next, I am going to grab a little bit of copper clay, clean my brush off. Just want a little bit on here, and it is a saturated color, so be really careful with it. And I'm just going to put a little bit, just to make a little circle. You could, if you want, use the copper clay on the next mask. I just think it's nice to have different tones of these colors on here. Okay, so we're all ready to mask number 4. So we'll line that up. Put our washi tape on there to hold it down, down. And I do have a smaller brush. I could have used my other one because it's brown. I'm using Pebbled Path now because it's the darkest of the browns. You could also use Early Espresso would be good. So I'm going to, I don't want to push too hard, but it's hard not to get these little seed looking spots colored in without getting the dark ink in the other places on the mask. So this one, I'm not going to lift completely off my paper. I'm just going to look at it. And I think that looks fine, so I don't need to put any more ink on there. So let's take mask number 4 off. Close our ink up. And the next thing I'm going to do is grab this can come off now, and see it came off and it didn't tear the paper or anything. So I'm going to take kind of a scrap grid paper, and I'm going to use my dark Pebbled Path Stampin' Right marker, or excuse me, Stampin' Blend. I'm going to use the brush end, the bigger tip, and I've got my light color here. You could tap it over anything. I could use this pen or whatever. So I'm just going to take this pen and tap it right over the top of this other one. And what it's doing, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, is splattering that ink right down onto our project. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do next is emboss this, which just gives it a beautiful look. So let me put this in. You could also, here's another interesting thought, if you wanted a little more distressed and grungy looking, you could also put a little bit of just tiny amounts of ink on the side that says Stampin' Up! On the inside, maybe with a dauber, tiny bit of ink, and not an extremely dark ink. So when we emboss this, that ink would then be transferred onto the front of this card. I'm not going to do it to this one at this time. So let me run over to my machine and I'll get this embossed real quick. Okay, so that is done. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it really comes out beautiful. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So now we can take our piece of crushed curry and we will, I'm going to take a tape runner. Let me grab some colored paper so I can see what I'm doing. And I add some tape to the back of my embossed piece. And I always put a little extra on just because it's embossed and it tends to kind of bow up in the middle. See if I can get it straight with all its weird edges everywhere. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now let's put some tape on the back of our crushed curry piece. And of course you could also glue it, or you could pop this piece up off of the base if you wanted. So here's our base piece. Let me give it another good burnishing to make that crease real crisp. I almost put this on here upside down. So let's lay this piece down, try to get our margins all even. And then I've already stamped my sentiment, so thankful for you. And the die that I used is from an old set called Layering Ovals Framelits dies. And I used the second to the smallest oval to cut that out with, and it fit perfectly. And I am going to pop that up on some dimensionals. You could also splatter Wink Estella on here. That would be really cool if you're a sparkly gal. So let's take the covers off our dimensionals. Try to line this up straight, which sometimes I can't do in the middle of a card. That looks good. And then we're going to make a messy bow. So I'm going to, let me find my good scissors. I'm going to cut just a little, let me straighten this out a little bit. I'm going to cut just a little piece of linen thread off that I am going to tie the bow center with. And I'm going to take a good amount of this and I'm just going to run it on the edge of my counter, and it'll kind of take the curls out of it. So I'm going to, there's one little curl left. Let me get rid of it. So I'm going to lay it over my 4 fingers, and I'm left-handed, so you would do this on the other hand. Leave a little tail on it and go 1, 2, get that out of the way. Let me start over. Sorry about that. That little tail's messing me up. 1, 2, 3. And then when you come over the top from 3, go on the next, these top 2 fingers. 1, 2, 3. And then leave a little extra. Cut it off. And then pinch it at the top of all of your loops. Hopefully I've kept this in the camera. Gather them all up in the center. I'm going to grab all of these, push them up to the top, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist. And then I'm going to grab these reverse tweezers, and I'm going to put my little piece of twine around the center and tie it in a knot. And I think bow making on video camera is one of the worst things to have to do, because a lot of times they don't come out nice. Okay, so then decide which end you want to be up or down. Pull all your little tails down to the bottom. And then I like to kind of pull all these pieces apart and make it look kind of messy. Okay, and I'm going to grab a glue dot. And we will stick it to the back of our little bow. Pull it off that paper and hope I can get it off my finger. So we'll stick that on our card, and then I'm going to trim these little tails a little bit, some of them. But I just love the look of this messy bow. And then I'm going to add some of these gold pearls from the new Blooming Pearls pack. This has garden green, gold, petal pink, and pretty peacock. And I'm just going to use the smaller ones. So we'll take a gold pearl and we'll put it up here. We'll take another one and set it over here, and one more, and let's put it down here. Okay, so that is our card made with the masks. Let me know what you think about it. And if you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. Let me show you another one that I did in different colors. This one I did in Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock, Moody Mauve, Berry Burst, Pecan Pie, and Copper Clay. So you can see how the center of the sunflower is a little bit lighter on this one because I didn't use the pebbled path. And then on this one, I'm not sure what I did with the little gems. I'm probably not going to be able to find them and tell you what they are. I can't find the package, but I can look in the catalog. They are called iridescent adhesive backed discs, and they are flat and they are awesome. So which one do you like best? I'm not sure. And I absolutely am going to play with some more colors. So again, let me know what you think. And if you're getting anything out of my videos, it would be awesome if you would like them, share them with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel. I would so appreciate that. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me today, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.